ಗೋಪಾಲಕೃಷ್ಣಾಡಿಗರ ಶತಮಾನೋತ್ಸವ ರಾಜ್ಯದೆಲ್ಲೆಡೆ ಆಚರಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ನಮ್ಮ ಸಂಸ್ಥೆಯ ವತಿಯಿಂದ ಅವರಿಗೆ ನಾವು ಗೌರವ ಸಲ್ಲಿಸೋಣ ಅಂತ ಈ ಒಂದು ಅವರ ರಚನೆಯನ್ನು ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೇನೆ. ಧನ್ಯವಾದಗಳು.
Thank you, ma'am. Thousands of candles can be lighted with a single candle, yet the light of the candle is not shortened. Light dispels darkness, and when the darkness of ignorance within us is dispelled, through the light of wisdom, goodness prevails. Let's all rise for the lighting of the lamp by the luminaries.
ಸೆಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಲ್ಯಾಂಪ್ ಸೈಡ್ ತೆಗೆಸ್ಕೊಂಡು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಐದು ಬಿಡಿ ಲ್ಯಾಂಪ್ ಸ್ಪೀಕರ್ ಕಾಣಿಸ್ತೀವಿ.
I now request our beloved principal of Nagarjuna Degree College and Director of Management Studies NGI, Dr. Harish Babu S. Sir, to deliver the welcome address.
Good morning to all of you. Esteemed chief guest for today's program, Dr. K. Anand Joshi ji, advisor, ISDC Global, London, and former Pro-Chancellor, AU, and former Vice Chancellor of CMR University. Esteemed guest of honor, Dr. E. Jerome Xavier sir, Honorable Principal of Indian Academy Degree College, Paramarsh, our esteemed Director, Nagarjuna Group of Institutions, Dr. S.G. Gopalakrishna sir, Professor Manohar Naraji sir, esteemed Director, Nagarjuna Group of Institutions, dear faculty members and invitees. Indeed, it gives me immense pleasure to welcome all of you for this wonderful national seminar on paradigm shift in teaching methodology and evaluation system. I take a lot of prideness, and it is also the moment of honor for all of us here at Nagarjuna Degree College and NGI, because this is the first UGC sponsored national seminar happening in our campus in association with Indian Academy Degree College, Paramarsh. So as all of you know that this particular sector, education sector, particularly higher education, today we see a lot of changes taking place. There are tremendous opportunities available. At the same time, we also see challenges. Many foreign universities are coming. New education policy, national NEP, has been announced. So in this context, it is highly relevant for the teachers to understand how we should get adapted to the changing scenario, particularly in the education system, and catering to the needs of today's students. As all of you have experienced, suddenly last year March, when the lockdown was announced, and all the teachers were asked to suddenly take online classes, which was something new for many of us as teachers. Maybe in chalk and board method, faculty were very comfortable in doing the job, but when suddenly they were asked to change the system, they were asked to adapt to the changing situation, some of them found it difficult. We all have experienced it. And today's students, if you see, they are exposed to a lot of materials, internet. Gone are the days where they are depending only on library books. Correct? Today there are MOOC courses. Coursera alone has got more than 3,800 courses. And today UGC also is insisting on integrating MOOC courses in the academics. Some credits also can be given. And we talk about choice-based credit system, outcome-based syllabus. So in this scenario, so teachers need to understand how we should get adapted to the needs and how we can make teaching learning process more effective. So in that context, we have announced this national seminar, and I'm very thankful to UGC and Indian Academy Degree College for being very kind and being supportive. First, I would like to take this opportunity to welcome our chief guest, Dr. Anand K. Joshi sir. I will request Professor Kavita to kindly welcome Anand Joshi sir to the floor bouquet. Sir is very, very resourceful. Sir is also our advisor to the group of our Nagarjuna group of institutions that we are fortunate to have you here today. Welcome, sir. I also take this opportunity to welcome Dr. E. Jerome Xavier, sir, who is the principal of Indian Degree College Autonomous. So under the Paramarsh scheme, Indian Academy Degree College is our mentor for our NAC preparations. So Jerome sir has been very, very kind and supportive. So I thank him for being very supportive. He is in fact instrumental for happening of this program in our campus. So I would request Professor Nagesh to kindly welcome Jerome sir to the floor. We also have Dr. S.G. Gopalakrishna sir with us, Honorable Director of Nagarjuna Group of Institutions. Sir is also guiding us in various aspects and taking all the institutions to the next level. So I would request Professor Afsara to kindly welcome Dr. Gopalakrishna sir to the floor. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome our Honorable Director, Jairam Shetty sir, Honorable Professor from Nikhil School of Management. Sir is highly resourceful. In fact, he is the speaker for the Track 2 session, NLP Techniques for Breakthrough Outcome in Teaching. I would request Mr. Ajay to kindly welcome Jairam Shetty sir to the floor. So as part of the program, we have got 4 different tracks. So after this inaugural, the first session will be handled by Dr. Anand Joshi sir. That is on new normal in higher education. The second track will be by Dr. Jairam Shetty sir on the NLP techniques for breakthrough outcome in teaching. And track 3 will be by Dr. Suma Singh. That is on innovative teaching tools, focus on how to think. And the last session is on outcome-based learning. That is by Dr. Aloysius Edward. So I welcome all the speakers, dignitaries, invitees, faculty members, and students for this program. So more than 60 colleges have registered for this program. Even we have participants from outside Bangalore and outside Karnataka state. So that is how we have made this program also available as YouTube Live. So I also welcome all the participants who are attending this program as online. Thank you once again.
Thank you, sir. It's my honor to welcome our beloved Principal of Nagarjuna Degree College and Director of Management Studies, Dr. Harish Babu, sir. I request Dr. Dakshayani to please welcome, sir. Thank you, ma'am. I now request Professor Geetanjali G, HOD of MBA MCT, to read the profile of our today's chief guest, Dr. Anand K. Joshi.
Thank you, Professor Kavita. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning to everyone. It is my privilege to introduce our today's chief guest, Dr. Anand K. Joshi. Dr. Anand K. Joshi holds MCom, LLB, MBA and PhD degrees. Dr. Anand Joshi is an education innovation strategist and is a consultant and mentor advisor at International Skill Development Corporation, London, a multinational L&D organization. He is also editor for Indian Education Review, published by ISBC, London. He is ex-pro-chancellor of Atmea University, Rajkot, Gujarat. He is also an ex-founder, vice-chancellor of CMR University, Bangalore. He is on statutory boards and committees of several institutions, including Ministry of Personal and Public Grievances, Government of India. Dr. Joshi is a resource person for State Project Implementation Unit, UP, for Technical Education Quality Improvement Program 3 under Ministry of HRD. He is also on selection boards of senior level appointments in public sector banks. He is also a member of statutory boards, committees of several universities, autonomous institutions in India. Dr. Joshi has served in Indira Gandhi National Open University, National Council for Teachers Education, All India Council for Technical Education, Ministry of Textiles, Government of India, and Wellington Institute of Management, Mumbai and Bangalore. He has taught at reputed institutes such as Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, Institute of Computer Secretaries of India, and Institute of Cost and Loss Accountants of India. He often shares his thoughts on education at Doordarshan Kendra, Bangalore, and other regional channels. His writings have frequently appeared in the Times of India. Several of his articles have been published in Speaking Tree, in Times of India, and Times Higher Book 2014. His case study has been acclaimed in the ISD IB Case Study Competition 2011 and published by Harvard Business Publishing and Richard Ivey School of Publishing. He also received the prestigious IMA's Best Research Award 2011. As a speaker and panelist, he has delivered more than 100 keynote addresses at seminars and conferences at various institutions, including IIM Bangalore, IIM Trichy, and many more. He has more than 35 national and international publications and 6 citations. He is a consulting advisor to more than 30 institutions and industries, including Kerala State Higher Education Council, Azim Premji Foundation, Engineering Staff College of India, Hyderabad, Lavasa Corporation, Pune, Mahindra and Mahindra, and many more. On behalf of Nagarjuna Group of Institutions, I wholeheartedly welcome our chief guest.
Thank you, ma'am. I now request our principal, Dr. Harish Babu, sir, to felicitate our chief guest, Dr. Anand K. Joshi. Thank you, sir. I now request all the dignitaries to felicitate our guest of honor, Dr. E. Jerome Xavier, Principal, Indian Academy Degree College, Autonomous. Thank you, sir. I now request our today's chief guest, Dr. Anand K. Joshi, to address the gathering.
Good morning and greetings to all. Respected dignitaries on the dais, the teachers, the invitees, and the participants who are around. At the outset, it is a pleasure and privilege to address the first on-site event after a gap of more than 1 year or so. And I thank God for providing this opportunity to me to attend Indian Academy plus Nagarjuna College. And more so, the representatives of the management here, Dr. Manoj sir and Dr. Rupal sir, and in absentia, my friend Dr. Dishkar sir also. So, thanks madam for the wonderful introduction, because that introduction at times it makes me feel that you are all, by and large, majority of you are all full-time teachers teaching and is your first profession. Fortunately, unfortunately, it was not my first profession. I was a bureaucrat in the government of India. So and I worked in the private institutions. I worked in the government policy level, and I worked at the university as a vice chancellor level in two different Rajkot, promoted by Swami Narayana Trust of Akshardhama Temple, with a multi-billion trust that I was heading. But at the end of the day, I am not a teacher. Let me be honest and respect each of you, the teachers, who have worked, contributed for the growth of higher education in the country. So, with this, I again would like to congratulate Dr. Xavier sir and Dr. Babu. Usually we do talk in the field of commerce and management that institution-industry collaboration will add value to the academics. But believe me, more than the institution-industry collaboration, it is institution collaboration which adds value to the knowledge dissemination. And this initiative of the Indian Academy with the Nagarjuna Degree College, this experience is not just an experiment. The world-class universities have developed a cluster of institutions to create and disseminate of the knowledge depending on the strength of each institution. This is the beauty of the initiative which has been taken by the NBC and Indian Academy for the purpose of initiating this particular event today. Friends, when the issue is on the national education policy and its impact on this particular higher education in the country, I would like to take you to 1986, the earlier national education policy of 1986. I think in those days it was hardly 12 or 13 enrollment ratio, when Minister of Education under the chairmanship of Dr. Mr. Nasir Rao, who became Prime Minister later, they formulated this NEP and they started giving the regulatory status to the distance education, to the distance education and National Council for Teacher Education, AICTE, and various regulatory bodies existence from 89 onwards. So, in Indian higher education system, 1980s was considered as a decade of growth of technical education in the country, and 1990s was a decade of growth of management education in the country. In the process, till 2005, it was growth of education, higher education in the country to reach the targets of gross enrollment ratio and education for all. That was the slogan. But only from the 2005 to 2015, it was to establish the quality. The emphasis was started for NBA and NAC and to provide the impetus on the quality systems on the process-driven educational system. So this NBA, NAC and various other quality initiatives was drafted by the UGC and it has been implemented. But unfortunately, with all the details that we have, the NAC and NBA, they make quantitative assessment, not on the qualitative assessment. They try to make based on even reports on the quantitative parameters, the number of teachers, 1:15, 1:20, calculate, add the count and close it, give the marks. But the real assessment of a quality is whether the teacher who is appointed is relevant to the curriculum of the college which he is going to deliver. No NAC or NBA does it. And whether he has got the required competency to teach those subjects. No. When I go for NBA visit, I go for the National Board of Accreditation on behalf of AICTE, I find a person who is into the biomedical engineering, he will be teaching some of the subjects in mechanical also. It is good, a cross-disciplinary teacher is appreciated, but the relevance of his knowledge needs to be no NAC or NBA associated. What has that been the result? Without due respect to NAC and NBA, I believe me, last CET, a few is not one, several institutions in Karnataka with 8 and 8 plus, they are not able to fill up the CET merit quota in the CET admission cell. What it indicates? And on the hand, it is already in a NAC accredited, NBA accredited, but they are not able to fill up the CET quota or merit seat. Leave the commodity or management quota or NRI quota. So the result is the stakeholders, the public, the parents, the students have lost confidence in this accreditation process. That is the conclusion is happening now. That is how the government of India are trying to introduce in 2016, develop National NIRF, National Institute of Ranking Framework. The NIRF has gaining importance today also. The reason being here, it is by and large based on third-party assessment. Third-party assessment. It is not based on what you give the reports to the NIRF assessment. It is based, they will have the employers' perceptions, employees' perceptions, or market perceptions, or research. They take directly from the Scopus Index and other impact journals, and they are not bothered about your conference presentations or conference participations. It's all to the faculty level only. So the third party assessment on the lines of US ranking, I'm part of that particular US ranking process as part of my organization where I work for London. So there the assessment is on third party. Let the others talk about your institutions, not yourself. That should be the emphasis on the institutions. What happens is we scratch our back that we are X, Y, Z, but ultimately it is the stakeholder. Who is the biggest stakeholder? The market dynamics in the industry, the society, the parents, ultimately the student. Are they able to accept the institution in its real value? The day will come wherein students and parents will start evaluating the institution for the price they pay, value for the money. I am paying to these institutions so much of money for the as a fees. Whether the institution is offering value for that particular money, that is going to be evaluated in future. So when it comes to the quality now, the quality is on the third party assessment based on NIRF, US ranking, Times ranking. So they are all started with the regional ranking of Asia ranking and Asia Pacific ranking. And if you see the last 1 week's newspaper, would have 15 institutions of US ranking. So they are getting into the Indian institutions are getting into world ranking. That's a good part of it. But having said, when it comes to the other institutions, we are into the phase wherein we have to have a self-introspective to assess non-quality parameters or assessment for any institutions. Non-quality parameters, non-quantitative parameters. So the next second to concluding, the topic that you have said on the in the teaching methodology and evaluations. I will just make 2 sentence observations. Teaching methodology. Today, I believe even today, a good teacher with blackboard and chalk piece, no technology can substitute. And it is going to stay with the classroom, no doubt about it. But to support or reciprocate the learning process, now what we call the power of technology in the classroom will dictate the terms on how the information connects to the student. Because the teacher connects emotionally, so his eye contact, he makes the student absorb it so fast because the trust of confidence is between the teacher and the student. When it is through technology, then trust is missing, but the information is there. So the students today are able to absorb the information from different sources. What? Through technology, through their collaborative learning, or with their peer groups. There's multiple roads to get into the information, but the teaching methodology is going to change. To what extent you teach that out of the 100% of the curriculum, what is the percentage you teach with reference to the concepts and theories? What is the percentage you use it for application-oriented information or content? What is the percentage for case-based assessment and content? These are the 3. Each particular subject may need more fundamentals and concepts and theories. Certain subjects need application-oriented, and certain subjects need case-based understanding. Same way, the evaluation and examination process should also have this category, because when the NEP 2020 wants to introduce inter and transdisciplinary studies, the focus is on inter and transdisciplinary studies. At that context, the student needs to be evaluated differently. You cannot have the same marks parameters, same evaluation parameters for all the subjects that he has opted. He needs to be evaluated differently. For example, if an engineering student opts for an economics or a business studies, then obviously the business studies needs a different evaluation than your core engineering subject. So the concept of teaching methodology, because teaching methodology is getting integrated with instructional technology, and at the same time, evaluation process needs to be whether through technology-based assessment, knowledge-based assessment, or knowledge behavior-based assessment. You want to evaluate. Ultimately, this seminar should evaluate and bring the best out of it. And I wish both Indian Academy, the principal as well as Dr. Rishka, to develop this as a document, because this NEP 2020 is going to stay for next 20-25 years. And ensure that this proceedings is a part of the State Implementation Committee as well as to the Government of India, to the UGC. And believe me, the government is proactive and they will come back to you with certain appreciation. With this, I wish each one of you for a wonderful learning experience. Wish you all the best.
Thank you, sir, for your insightful deliberations on changing and shift impact. paradigm shift in teaching methodology and evaluation system. I now request Dr. Biraj Amalanan, Associate Professor, Department of MBA and CET, to introduce our guest of honor, Dr. E. Jerome Xavier.
Thank you, ma'am. Good morning to one and all. Respected dignitaries on the dais and off the dais, invitees, guests, teachers, faculty members of their respected colleges, faculty members of NDC, NCET, and all other students and near and dear ones. I, Dr. Biraj Amalanan, it is my honor and privilege to read the profile of Dr. E. Jerome Xavier Jasura sir. He is the principal of Indian Academy Degree College. Sir has completed MSc, MPhil, MA, MS, that is in Education Management, and PGDBA and PhD in HRM. Sir is having total 32 years of experience in higher education, and as a principal, 14 years of experience. He has received Bharat Gaurav Award, Best Citizen of India Award, Lifetime Education Achievement Award, Lifetime Member of Sigma 11 Scientific Society, North California, USA. He has guided 2 research scholars for PhD program. He is governing council member of Mount Carmel PU College, St. Vincent Pallotti College, Bangalore. He is executive committee member of IFCU, that is International Federation of Catholic University, Paris. Founder Secretary of Christ College Alumni Association, Sigma 11 Scientific Research Society, North California, USA. Founder Executive Editor of Magna Journal Science Forum 2003 to 2006, published by Christ University, Bangalore. Executive Committee member of IFPA 2008-2010, International Federation of Parents Association, Zaragoza, Spain. Member of Christ College Core Committee 2002-2005. National and state program, yes sir, has organized more than 20. UGC refresher courses orientation program, sir has attended more than 6. National and international programs, sir has attended more than 20. He has edited 4 books. He has attended several national and international conferences as a chief guest. He has written several articles in national and international reputed journals. Sir has attended and organized several national and international level FDPs. This is a very brief profile. Due to time constraint, I am not able to read out all the achievement and accolades given by sir. And I am really sorry for that. I welcome you on behalf of Nagarjuna Degree College and Nagarjuna Group of Institution and Indian Academy Degree College. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. I now request Dr. Jerome E. Xavier, Principal Indian Academy Degree College Autonomous, to address the gathering.
Eminent educationists on the dais, you, my dear learned teaching fraternity, thanks to UGC, which has helped us to come together, 2 institutions, one as a mentor institution and the other as a mentee institution, to grow together and help each other towards excellence in higher education. When the program Paramarsh was given to us, Indian Academy Degree College made a point that we in turn will ensure that each mentee institution is given the opportunity to organize a national seminar or at least a state level seminar. This is one such effort. Coming to the topic on the paradigm shift in teaching pedagogy is purposely chosen keeping in mind the second criterion of the 7 criteria that we have in the National Accreditation Council, NAC. We also thought it is good for each institution to take up one criterion and organize a seminar that would help the organizers as well as others who participate to have greater and in-depth knowledge in the process of accreditation. And I'm sure the resource persons who are already there waiting for you to share their knowledge will enlighten you on the topic on paradigm shift. I will briefly share with you a couple of things. I am not sure how many of you have heard of Michelangelo, one of the greatest artists, sculptor and painter the world has ever made. He was from Italy. He was living in a city called Florence. In Florence, Medicis was a family, a very rich, wealthiest family and most powerful family. If you are invited by that family, it was considered to be a great honor. One day, Medicis family invited Michelangelo and told him, we want you to sculpture the statue of David. Many of you may not know who is this David. David is a scripture character. He was a shepherd who became a king. Michelangelo was extremely happy to accept that invitation and felt elated and honored. And he took 2 years to find the right kind of marble stone. Almost let me bring it to my house for the work. And he started sculpturing, chipping out things. Beautiful skill of Michelangelo. The students in front of you in the classrooms are just like those marble stones. You must be able to see David in them. In front of you, there might be Anita, Vanita, Sunita, Naveen, Praveen, Kevin, whoever it might be. They are all stones of block that Michelangelo had brought. But you must be able to see the beautiful Anita in her. You must be able to chip out all that is not required. That is why it is said that teachers influence the students for eternity. You are in the classroom not to teach the subject alone, because we are told today information is available. Yes, we are in the class first and foremost to inform the students of what, if at all you know, what you have assimilated, understood, synthesized, and made it of your own, the subject you are good at. So you are not here to inform that subject. Yes, information is part of it, but you are there to reform. The students who are sitting in the classrooms need to be reformed. Each one comes with different cultural background, social background, ethical background, but you are the only one who are able to see all of them, and it is your responsibility to reform them through your teaching. So the first one is information process that is taking place in the classroom. The second important one is the reformation process. You are reforming the characters, the values, the attitudes of students inside the classroom. And the third one is the most important one, transformation. If your students are not transformed by your teaching, not only in terms of subject knowledge, but in terms of characters, in terms of values, in terms of development of soft skills, competencies, then you have not played your role efficiently. When you are playing this role efficiently, the students go out of your classroom after 3 years, they would have been transformed into better human beings who will be able to be of great significance and usefulness to the society. They must contribute. So don't forget, my dear teaching fraternity, I am in the teaching profession for 32 years. By chance, I entered the teaching profession. But I have never left because my principal of, in those days, Christ College, he didn't allow me to go. Although I had an offer as a manager way back 1989, he told me, you are expected to be a teacher, so you remain here. And within 2 months, unexpectedly, he got my appointment approved by the government. So I couldn't move out. And I continued, but I don't regret, because I have realized we influence the student community and we influence them for eternity. Even after 32 years, somewhere when we go, whether it is Commercial Street or Phoenix Mall, whatever be the mall, you'll find, "Hi sir, how are you? You were my teacher," or "You were in Christ College, you were here, you were in St. Andrew's Principal," and so on. They will remember you for a lifetime. There are teachers whom you would like to forget soon after we leave the college. It all depends on you, what kind of teachers you want to be. So I want you, my dear teaching fraternity, whatever be the method you are going to adopt, ultimately it depends on you to influence their mind, influence their heart. Both are equally important. That is why these days we speak of holistic development of student communities. It is in your hands. You are holding a greater responsibility. Most of the faculty members I find these days, I'm sorry if some of you might be really good, but younger generation, they are more worried about money. Money is not the only thing. When you are best, I can tell you, the best will come back to you. Money will come. I can share with you, my salary was 1,040 rupees when I entered Bangalore. In those days, my 1,040, I don't know why government gave that 40 rupees extra, like pocket money. 1,040 was. Whereas the same year, when I got the job as a manager, junior manager, they offered me 4,000 rupees. They told me, "You are a fool that you didn't give." I said, "No problem." But today, money is not a problem. That's why I want you, my dear teaching fraternity, please tell yourself, yes, money is important, it has value, but what is most important is what you can contribute, nobody else can contribute. The way that you can influence your students, nobody else can ensure that the students who come out of your class are best citizens who contribute to the growth of the society. Have a wonderful day. God bless you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jerome sir, on your insights into student transformation. I now request our beloved Director of NGI, Dr. S.G. Gopalakrishna sir, to deliver the gathering.
Most respected academician, administrator, and my good guide, Dr. Anand Joshi, respected Dr. Jerome Xavier, Professor Manohar Naragi, Professor Jairam Shetty, Dr. Harish Babu, and other invitees who are assembled here, the participants for this wonderful exercise which has begun after the NEP has been launched. It has taken the prime position. Probably it has opened the eyes of many academicians and administrators. The things in the NEP have brought a lot of points into the forefront, be it the school education or the higher education. A lot of changes are coming, and we should be prepared for those changes. Bhagavad Gita says, change is the rule of nature. We have to prepare for the change. Our honorable guest was mentioning, nowadays the students, they don't want to remember the name of the teacher also. Correct? I have a different point on that. If the student remembers the name of the teacher, he is a front bencher. If the teacher remembers the name of the student, that student is a backbencher. Right? Many of you might have been irritated by some characters like that, but they will be successful afterwards. In the end, they will be successful. That's why we say the paradigm shift. The teachers, as Dr. Jerome was mentioning, he said he has selected and is principal of the Christ College was instrumental in making him as a teacher or an academician. Very nice. But many people, they take up teaching profession because they don't get other jobs. Don't worry, your goal is set. When the goal is set, should you go in the same path or should you change the path? The goal is already set. If you are not able to move in that path, change your path. Reach the goal ultimately. So having selected the teaching profession, you should update your knowledge. COVID is the best example for all our learnings. Many of the happenings which have come in the last 1 year, you can take it as a paradigm shift rightly, is because of the force. The environment has forced on all of us to move towards something else. Not only the teachers, but the students also. They did not know initially how to listen to an online lecture, how to register for an online course, certification course. Many of them were hesitant, sir. They were not registering for the online courses. Online courses, online certifications are not new. They were in existence. But how many of our students were registering for that? Indian Academy is an autonomous college. Certification, 20% can be given as a credit. For each course, certification course, they can award 3 credits. Like that, they can give some 20% of the credits through certification itself. But how many of our students were ready to take voluntarily the certification and learn what they wanted? This is actually, sir, your David's idol making. Students also, they should know what they should learn and where they should reach. They should also be involved. It is not just the teachers. Teachers are instrumental. Nowadays, teachers will have a different role because of the exposure that the internet and the mobile, all these handsets they have. They are exposed more than the teachers. So students get a lot of exposure, information is very freely flowing. How they take that information, how they convert that data into useful information is a big question. That is where the role of the teacher is being played. And you should guide the students in the right direction. I think the use of the tools, for example, in the classroom and otherwise, is a perfect paradigm shift, which also we should think. Dr. Joshi was mentioning about the evaluation part. The curriculum design, yes, of course, we do the curriculum design. What is required by the industry, yes, we put one industry representative and make the syllabus. All that is fine, and we teach that curriculum, everything is fine. But coming to the evaluation part, how do you evaluate the students? Very, very big and pertinent question raised by our honorable guest, Dr. Joshi. It is like in the light domain, they say, no, that example you must be knowing. If there is an elephant and a monkey, you are doing the examination for them. Monkey very easily he climbs the tree, therefore you award him A grade or whatever you want. And you ask the elephant to climb the same tree. It fails. You award 0 for that. Correct? So the evaluation methodology cannot be same for all. That is why one very pertinent thing is there, it is the participants, the students. Different students, heterogeneous group will come into a classroom and then you should evaluate. That is one part of the story. But the other part of the story is the curriculum that you design. What is the curriculum? Based on the curriculum, you should have your evaluation mechanism as well. Very, very pertinent point raised by our honorable guest. In the end, he mentioned one more very interesting point. Dr. Harish Babu had mentioned that this conference is the first of its kind, sponsored by UGC in NDC. Very nice, and congratulations to all the organizers. And Dr. Jerome very, very graciously has accepted and he is involved in the whole process. That is to be appreciated. Indian Academic College has come out and they are supporting NDC to conduct this kind of conference. Congratulations, sir, and thank you very much on behalf of the management for the excellent support that you are rendering. Ultimately, participants from different colleges come and they participate. One day it should not be an excursion for them, but there should be some takeaway from the whole seminar. That takeaway is what Dr. Joshi said in the end. Be it in the State Education Policy Committee or in the National Committee, the proceedings of this conference should be sent and then see that it is implemented or it is endorsed there. That's a very good point. Thank you very much for that kind of a wonderful, thought-provoking idea which you have given. I think Dr. Harish Babu is a very dynamic leader who can take this forward with his vision. I thank the guests of honor, particularly Dr. Anand Joshi and Dr. Jerome Xavier for participating in this conference as well as addressing all of us and enlightening all of us. Thank you very much, sir, for that. I wish this conference all the best. And Dr. Harish Babu, please take all these points and then take it forward. Just now he was asking me, in the right way I am saying, sir, he asked me, sir, Dr. Deshkachar is not there, so you have to do the presidential address. I said, presidential address is very easy. Speaking what others have spoken, just mentioning those points is presidential address. Thank you very much for your patience.
Thank you, sir. And now request Professor Nisha B. Borges, Assistant Professor NDC, to deliver the vote of thanks.
I deem it a privilege to propose the vote of thanks. At the outset, I'm privileged to extend our sense of gratitude to our Chief Patron, Shri J.V. Rangaraju, Chairman, Nagarjuna Education Society, Srimati Shri Devi Rangaraju, Founder, NES, Shri Chaitanya Verma, Secretary, Nagarjuna Education Society, and Srimati Bhanu Chaitanya, Member, NES, in supporting all our individuals. I extend my gratitude to our patron, Dr. K.S. Deshikachar, Senior Director, NGI, Dr. S.G. Gopalakrishna, Director, NGI, Professor Manohar Naraji, Director, NGI, for their unconditional support. Our gratitude to our chief guest, Dr. Anand Joshi, Advisor, IIT Program, graduate former Pro-Chancellor, a former Vice-Chancellor, CMRU, who graced the occasion and enlightened us with his words of wisdom. Thank you, sir. Our gratitude and thankfulness to Dr. E. Jerome Xavier, Principal, Indian Academy, for being a true mentor and a pillar of strength to organize the seminar. Mentor would be a tiny word, a guide, facilitator, and an impetus to achieve our goal. We thank our mentor institution, Indian Academy Degree College Autonomous, for extending the support to organize the national seminar. Our extended gratitude to the Paramarsh Advisory Committee, Dr. A. Geeta Bali, former Vice Chancellor, Karnataka State Women's University, Dr. Sangeeta Annie George, IQAC Coordinator, Indian Academy Degree College Autonomous, and Professor Deepa S, IQAC Member, IBC, for their timely advice and support to bring up the seminar. We extend our gratitude to our seminar convener, Dr. Harish Babu, Principal and Director, Management Studies, who led us with the seminar with his excellent leadership skills. We extend our gratitude to Professor Srilata for a melodious invocation song, the presence on the YouTube platform. Finally, we thank all the teaching, non-teaching staff and all who worked behind the screen to make it a new success. The vote of thanks is just not the end. I think it's the beginning of our learning. Thank you.
We start with track 1. I request Dr. Anand K. Joshi to address the management staff.
I told earlier I was never a full-time teacher. I was not an academician, so.
That's why he has cut it to 20.
Morning again. I understand that it needs lot of tolerance to sit for nearly 2 hours and hear at times relevant, not relevant, irrelevant. So, but still I apologize for that, and I will make a quick glance of what is going to be the new normal in the next 5 years minimum. So, we talked about all the disruptions in the industry, economy, and all those things, but with this COVID, the disruption is in education sector. Education sector has got disruptions because today it has touched a 44 billion industry in India. Education, school and higher education taken together, it is 44 billion industry. I am not including edutech industries. Edutech industries has already crossed 100 with Vaiju and lot of software and all those things. But apart from that, a pure education and institutional funding, it is worth of 44 billion. So, what are the disruptions that we are talking? Some 4 or 5 points that I will make, then I will come to the new normal in education. The first is the confluence of digital technology. The teacher is not the priority today. We are in the process of a knowledge crisis in higher education institutions. No institution is a power center of knowledge because students are getting knowledge across the world. And we are in the process of, because of the COVID, we are in a knowledge crisis also. The knowledge crisis because as Dr. Arisco was referring, when you introduce the online course, the teacher was not trained, but they adapted to the new norm so fast. I should compliment each one of you to adapting for that particular new norm of teaching through online. So that's the disruption is happening. The second one is about digital Darwinism. Digital Darwinism. You know, we know all about the Darwinism. It is an human and technology. And today, through artificial and intelligence, with predictive analytics, learning analytics, the technology has entered the classroom and the campus. It is not just the administrators, it is not just the teachers. It is learning analytics. A person who has joined in first year through learning analytics using ARM language, we can definitely provide what would be his learning ability at the end of the third year. If you have seen now with your experience as a teacher, the person who enters the class today, he may be good. At the end of 3 years, he may go to the useless. And we have seen students who are good in the first year, then at the end of 3 years, the average students, they have made it extremely good. The difference is happening because the learning analytics varies. In the municipality, in those days, they were talked about science of learning. Then the science of learning in municipality, what they say is, no two persons process the same information in the same way. The absorption capacity, the human absorption definitely makes a lot of changes. What we feel, as a teacher we feel, some 20 students are useless, 10 students are good. What the parents feel, they blame the teacher. The teacher is not good, our students are good. The classroom institution is not good. What the students see is, the teacher is not good. But ultimately, the decision is, the teacher fails to assess the absorption capacity of the is trying to individuals. Nurture the human. Courses, affairs also it's the whole process of at the right number. I told the NDP also to do it, to make it a safe, must weigh percentage of credits with industry integrated models. Out of 100 credits, what is the number of credits you use the content developed by the industry and developed by the institutions? 70-30, 60-40 is going to be the mode of the 60% teacher will be efficient. What about this 30 or 40%? That what we call practicing teachers, or earlier we used to talk about the industry professions, it is practicing teachers. The concept of team teaching is going to stay after NEP implementation is, if it is classroom is for 2 hours or 1 hour, half an hour the academician will talk about the concept and practicing teacher will talk about the application of the concept and industry references. So that's going to be part of the industry integrated classroom session. That is called, even in IIMs, even I was with many Institute of Management, it was 3 hour session. In out of the 3 hours, we used to have first 1 hour, academician used to talk. Second hour, the industry practitioner used to come and talk about it. Third hour, a case study used to be displayed and students are made to assess and prepare an assignment there itself in half an hour and submit online to the teacher, and that module is closed. This is a concept of team teaching concept. The concept theory is over, application is over, assessment is over about the student understanding. This is one module is completed. So that's how this concept of blended learning or is the learning redefined. The whole process of learning is getting redefined. And the last, but talking about the leadership, there is something called the leadership has changed now. The leader is one who should have show the intellectual leadership. Intellectual leadership is should have multi-diversity knowledge on the disciplines, the programs that the institution is offering. Intellectual leadership. The second one is digital intelligence and leadership. Where to use technology, where not to use technology. That is his decision. Nobody should be interfering. The third one is contextual intelligence, leadership. In the contextual leadership, you take no book will classroom will teach you in a particular situation how to take a call on this. It is contextual leadership, and the success of a contextual leadership is one where he takes based on what we call in a common language. It is common sense, and management is not beyond common sense. With this, I thank you once again.
Excellent, sir. Thank you. It's very,
Very good morning to everybody. I am Professor Nagesh, Head, Department of Commerce. Today we had a beautiful session by Dr. K. Anand Joshi, Advisor, ISDC Global, London, former Pro-Chancellor, AV, former Vice Chancellor, CMR. So today we have learned a lot about normal new education which is given to the society, and you also highlighted on digital and science of learning and digital intelligence, inter and transdisciplinary studies, and you also spoke about psychological safety of the student as well as the student and increase international students to India, and you highlighted many points which were useful to our teaching fraternity, and you also talked about physical infrastructure and the requirement of learning laboratory and leadership skills among the faculties and the students. Thank you so much, sir, for your wonderful teaching, wonderful program. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Nagesh sir. We now have a photo session. I request each one of you to come forward and please, all the dignitaries, please come on the dais. Kind request. I request all of you to come forward. Please come forward. Nagesh sir, please coordinate. I request each one of you to come forward. Some of you can come up on the dais. Everybody please come. All the faculties please come. Those who are outside in the corridor also. Ajay sir, please bring all the faculty from the corridor. For the photo session. If anybody is outside. Rajan sir, please help him, somebody. We want only one photograph. Request the dignitaries please take the seat. Some of you please come on the dais. Please come on the dais, Ramesh sir.
ಇರಪ್ಪ. ಯಾರು ಅಲ್ಲಿರೋದು ಕಾಣಿಸ್ತಿಲ್ಲ. ಅಲ್ಲಿರೋದು ಸೀಮಾ ಮೇಡಮ್ ಕಾಣಿಸ್ತಿಲ್ಲ. ಬೇಡ ಬಿಡೋನಾಗಲ್ಲ, ಏನಾಗಲ್ಲ ಸುಂದರಪ್ಪ. ಈಗ ಕಾಣಿಸುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳು, ಈ ಸ್ಥಿತಿ ತೋರಿಸುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳು.
ಸರ್ ಒಂದಿಬ್ಬರು ಈ ಕಡೆ ಬಂದ್ಬಿಡಿ, ನೀವೊಬ್ರು ಬಂದ್ಬಿಡಿ ಆ ಕಡೆ. ಒಬ್ಬರು ಹಾಂ ಒಂದು ನಿಮಿಷ ನಾನು ತೊಗೊಂಡ್ಬಿಡ್ತೀನಿ.
ತೊಗೊಳ್ಳಿ ಬಿಟ್ಟು
ಹಾಗೆ ರೀ.
ಎಲ್ಲ ಇದು ನೋಡಿ
ಹಾಗೆ ರೀ. ಇಲ್ಲ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅದಿಲ್ಲ, ಅದು ಫ್ಲಾಶ್. ಹಾಗೆ ರೀ.
Thank you all. We break for a tea break for 10 minutes. The tea is arranged outside in the corridor. I request each one of you to have tea. There are some refreshments also. Please come back to the same venue in 10 minutes. We will
British School of Management with us. I hereby warmly welcome breakthrough outreach in teaching. Dr. Shetty has completed PhD, MCom, MBA, MA Psychology, LLB, CA, IIT, postgraduate diploma in HRM, postgraduate diploma in MM, DTD, Pragaya. He is certified NLP practitioner, certified in life coach and certified in OD coach. He has worked as trainer in Syndicate Bank for 14 years. For the last 7 years, he has been teaching MBA and PGDM. His favorite subjects are banking, finance,
you for 45 minutes, well, friends, for a subject like this, it will take really hours, especially on NLP. But let us take a quick glance. We need not, just take to understand one leaf is enough, one root is enough, one thought is enough, one thought is enough, one moment is enough. See, there's a saying in Sanskrit, Amantram Aksharam Nasti, Nasti Moolam Amoshadam, Ayodhya Purusha Nasti, Tatra Yojaka Dullabha. What it means, there is not a single alphabet in any of the languages which has no application in prose. There is not a single herbal in the whole world which has no medicinal value. There is not a single individual under the sun who is totally useless. The issue is, the challenge is one of having an organizer. I am very happy that teacher is such a great organizer, and therefore that's why we are. Teacher is a very, very special person. I am supposed to talk about NLP technique, but I am afraid time may not suffice, but enough. But if you look at the 3 slides, I will give about 10 minutes each quick look. This slide was prepared 10 years ago. When I look back this slide, it actually, everything actually, it has got the nuances or fragrance of NLP. In other words, NLP is not a new thing. So these ethos are there in our Indian system. If you look at any of those behavioral science, those roots are there in our soil. But today the Western practitioners have branded it, they have claimed patent, but Indians are so generous. Our Rishi Parampara never ever even put the name also. And therefore, that is the kind of, today we have to actually inform the people, the world. See, for example, if you write an article, you have to write your name and you have to go for a citation. So therefore, yes, that is the requirement here. If you just look at here, friends, only one quote, Richard Bash or Bach, you can pronounce or you like it, he said that, what he said is, learning is finding out what you already know, he said. Learning is finding out. Therefore, if you look at the students, most of the things are known to us, but probably we may have forgotten. That's why teach as if someone has forgotten. That's also a good technique actually. And doing is demonstrating. As teachers, we have to do it, demonstrating that you know. Therefore, in your teaching, you are actually doing, and you are giving a demonstration that you are willing to do what you are talking about. And teacher is reminding others that they know as much as you do. It takes off the element of arrogance. I am not insulting the teacher, as it is called executive arrogance. For example, in the process of accepting, you look at a worker, look at an office lawyer, he shows certain amount of arrogance which comes as a part of that profession. But therefore, for teachers, however, this arrogance will not do much. The next one, sir, please. Quickly we will go through next slide. Yes. All the data. I'll pick up only just one, keeping the time in mind. So if you look at, these are the important, immutable facts. Let's take, for example, education is the ability to meet life situation. If the teacher were to keep in mind, for example, you are not just teaching or you are not just giving an assignment, you are actually helping people live. Education is an ability. They never said education leads to ability. Look at the words here. Therefore, the moment you are educated, you are transformed. That means you are stepping into a higher position. Therefore, it is an ability, and as teacher, we are actually delivering such abilities. We are making things happen. When the moment as you teach, you will find that there are times when the audience dances with you. There are times when the listeners may resonate with you. Is not that is therefore the result is there immediately. Are you doing that job with audience? So it's a kind of challenge wherein, like for example, right now, notwithstanding my background here, it may be zero or anything here, right now I have to perform. That's a very, very important. Therefore, for a teacher, it is always the challenge comes up front. For a teacher, it is always now and here. And if you are not available now, if you are not available here, you are nowhere. Therefore, NLP talks about that kind of connectivity. It's actually to have that mindfulness, how to connect ourselves, which you'll see later. Just next slide. Only one point I'll pick up in each of those things. Just to tell you that all these things actually have the nuances of neuro-linguistic programming. Okay. Here I'll take, look at the beliefs. This slide, you can use it on your own. See, last one, the teacher's ability to respond is very, very important. Look at the word responsibility. It is the ability to respond. Most of the times, your ability to process a question. For example, someone asks a question, how you handle that question here, in a win-win situation is very, very important. It's a processing the question leads to next step. This is one area that teacher development hinges upon. Next, only one point I'll pick up inside. You may just wonder what is this kind of things. Yes, just to tell you that these slides you can study on your own. Yes. And look at here, the poise in the teacher's body language, the way we handle classes here, the way we come prepared, for example. If a teacher doesn't come prepared, the audience gets to know better. There's a great pianist. He said that he has been playing this piano for the last 40 years. Someone asked him, what is the secret of your excellence? He said that my secret lies in practice. He said, if I don't run this piano for one week, he said, my audience will come to know. If I don't practice for 2 days, my wife will come to know. And if I practice even for a day, I would come to know myself. Just imagine, friends, on a day, I'm not telling that people do that, on a day you are not come prepared. Therefore, running is very, very powerful. See what you read 10 minutes ago, or what you introspected an hour before, it actually runs high and above. If you have not seen your own notes, or if your own points, for the last 2 to 3 days, it is just not possible. Brain does not happen. So that a continuous revision is very, very important. That's very, very important. See that you must have heard a great writer. You can see in the Facebook also. In the C.S. Lewis, Lewis. He is a great English writer, thinker, and he was a professor. As teachers, we should know him. He was a professor 30 years. He was born, he lived for 65 years. And as a student, he was trying to earn a fellowship in Oxford University. That was the time. So he was born in 1898. So at least 22. And in England, his application was sponsored, and he had to undergo the last round, which is known as a dinner round, wherein the who is who of the academic world in England used to sit there, lords used to sit, by qualification, and the great educationate. There was one person, he was the chairman of the committee. He was known to be the toughest teacher and a very serious man. And this boy was just sitting there, and the whole group of people are observing him. See, the dinner was a 5 rounds, 5-course dinner. It seems this boy was just waiting, no one talked to him, and not even the chairman. So he was under a very tense situation. After 2 rounds, the chairman asked him, Mr. Lewis, do you love poetry? He was happy because a question is asked. He said, yes, Your Honor, I do. And for next 40 minutes, not a word passed. So he asked, sir, I also like prose, he said. What he meant? Anyone? He had to struggle that silence. There's a barrier. As teachers, we also struggle. For For example, you go to someone's chamber and let's say as a strategy he will not engage in a discussion, then you undergot a pressure. So therefore, and just imagine here and how you handle that. I like poetry, yes, but I also like prose. What does it mean? I like to talk means what the message in the agenda? Why don't you ask questions to me? So that if you don't ask questions, my chances of earning fellowship is very bleak. So he thought he will not get it. And because of that one word it seems, he said, I also like prose. He was selected, it seems. He was selected. That means in a teacher's life, you don't really like if someone does not talk to you. You see that? So this process is very powerful. Next please. Yeah. All these things. Just look at here. Next please. Next. I'm not focused on this actually. I'm not. Yes. These are the kind of masteries a good teacher needs to have. One is in terms of health. You know, you have a physical mastery. Your emotions, ability to handle your emotions, ability to handle the emotions of students, very, very important. So the emotive factors come to play. For example, someone asks a question, as a teacher, you don't handle it squarely, or there are times when the students enters into a kind of dialogue with the teacher, it leads to kind of clash, and you are upset emotionally, and so is a teacher, and therefore that kind of emotional strength is very, very important for a teacher. You have to exhibit. There are times when you have had to handle 3 sessions, 4 sessions, and as teachers, you are multiple, your roles are many. So therefore, how to handle your pressure and how to convert that pressure into a pleasure. What are your ideas quickly? 1 or 2. How to handle your pressure into a kind of pleasure. So you don't become a pressure cooker, you become pleasure. How do you do that? Tell me quickly. It is called catharsis, called visarjana. That means as a teacher, how to come out of that clutch of pressure. Yes? What do you do? What do you do at the end of the day? You work more, right? What else you do? You write. And I'll tell you friends, writing is once a therapy. As teachers, you know, if you don't write, who will? If you don't write, who will? And keep that outcome. For example, why do you have to recommend, can I have water please? Why do you have to recommend, thank you so much, someone else's book? I'm not against the people who write books. And just imagine one day you are recommending your own book. How do you like it? How do you like it? And your student, sir, I read your book. I'm listening to your lecture. Oh, that kind of outcome result we can create. Therefore, make your students, thank you so much, make your students read your book. I'm not telling you. I've been writing for Facebook for the last 2 years continuously. I must have written about 350 write-ups. I get tremendous pleasure when I write only 3 paragraphs. You can follow me. I'm not forcing you to do that. You can follow me, N. J. Ramashetty in Facebook. I get about 350. I got my own small following. I get a very good stroke, positive strokes. You create a circle there. When a student says that I read your this small writer, you know, you get that tremendous pleasure. So therefore, that pleasure comes in that kind of in small work here. Nothing is small, nothing is big. You know, everything matters actually. That kind of things as teachers we need to. Sir, Neelan, state your good end this answer, please. My intent was not to show this slide, but just to tell you, let's go to NLP. Today, NLP is nothing but it's a very simple strategy. Today, world over, people are crying at the rooftop. NLP, NLP, NLP. Anything that comes becomes commercial immediate. Of course, NLP has been there since 1970. Richard Bandler and John Grinder. These are 2 great celebrities. Today, NLP practitioners are there around. So, of course, there is always an argument. Pure psychologists, they don't support NLP. They say it's a pseudo. But today, even the great psychoanalysts have said that NLP is a practical. You see that it is such a powerful, anyone can handle there, and there are lots of things to gain. As long as there are lots of things to gain, why quit? Why, if something is good, take it. Therefore, today it has become a perfect science. You know, there are American Board of NLP, there are n number of certification. Probably you can take a course or two, especially for a teacher. NLP has got a direct connect to your delivery system, you know, the way you handle, process, so many areas are there. Just here. First, I will tell you friends, it is simple. N means neuro. It talks about the neurosensory system. Essentially brain. Right. Brain is, for example, thoughts. Let us pick up one word. Thoughts. Manasyekam, vachasyekam, karmanyekam, mahatmanam. See our Sanskrit. It already told it. Isn't that? Thank you for being here, sir. Manasyekam, that is our thought. Vachasyekam, our words. Karmanyekam, our performance, that is classroom delivery. If you are able to connect these two things at all times, and you are there, and you have arrived. So therefore, that is one of the techniques of becoming a Mahatma. I am not telling in that sense. Of course, as a teacher, definitely you can become a Mahatma, and why not? So that bringing that connect between these three is next slide, sir. So therefore, first is, focus is on the mind or the brain or the neurosensory system. Panchendriyagalu. Kannada barattalla ellaರಿಗೂ? I mean, ಹೇಳ್ಬಾರ್ದು ನಾವು. ಕನ್ನಡ ಯಾರಿಗೂ ಹೇಳ್ಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ. Yes. Therefore, that is one thing. The greatest resource we can always bank upon, we can always be proud about, we can always improve upon, which you must, is the brain. And today more than 100 billion neurons. It does not make any sound. You should be thankful. It operates 100 billion neurons, and it works in it does not make a sound. It does not claim. It just works as silently as you like it. Second is, L means basically the language. That means words. Words. Next way. Words. Anyway, I'll go on my own, but we can always have this slide. That means the way we communicate to our brain makes an impact. So therefore, words have got a powerful vibes, with vibrations. You know, the way you talk to others matters as much. The way you talk to yourself matters. For example, just if you were 10 minutes of entering classroom, you can go to a private place and just say, Jaram Shetty, today is going to be different, and you will make it. Just tell a little aloud. And brain cells, 100, billion neurons also listen. Tatastu, it says, Hage Agali. Therefore, we can always say that I have been giving this kind of things, and today is very, very important because the management is going to sit there to listen to my lecture. I'm 68, doesn't matter, even that doesn't matter. Therefore, today you can pray. Today I am going to cut the ice. I am going to make, and he said yes, and why not? Because the subconscious mind actually resonates. The subconscious mind responds to the way you talk. Therefore, always talk in positive terms. In auto-suggestion also, one should not say negative terms. Always talk in positive terms. For example, I am good, am great day by day and in every way. This should be the mantra. Look at all the mantras. They are essentially positive. Sarve Janaha Sukhino Bhavantu. It's a biggest mantra. Let the whole world get the food. Let the whole world be happy. Let the whole world dance like Lord Shiva dances. 3 days every day he dances. In that process, it is not the Shiva who dances. The Shiva in you also dances. You got that? So that kind of, and third is P means program, which means actions. Therefore, the process of connecting the thoughts, words, and the technology using what kind of words to use, what kind of sentences. For a teacher, it matters. And in between that intervention, someone asks a question, you handle the process. After class also, some students might be following you. Just consider some students may want to talk to you. They are just waiting there, and you just call them. And therefore, that kind of process here is essentially NLP. Just move there, the next one. It talks about basically, our experience subjectivity means we do and we are based on what we perceive the world subjectively. So each one's experience is subjective. For example, Kavita ma'am's experience is subjective. My experience is subjective. Each one's experience is subjective. You got that, friends? Now, how to relate that subjectivity into the out in the world is a small art. Therefore, you become aware subjectively. That's a conscious mind. But there are a whole lot of things beyond the sphere of the subjectivity. For example, at this point of time, you are not aware. But the great news is you can become aware. So there are two words. One is a being word. That means you already know, or you already have, you already done it. There is no need to prove who you are. That is a being. Your being status should not give arrogance. Look at Lord Buddha states always being. The being, the whole aham brahmasmi. But becoming means from being you are intentionally moving towards. For example, you have been for teaching accounting, let's say you have been reading about only 3 books for the last 3 years, but this year, even though it is not required, still you would like to look at few more books in the becoming world here. You are creating possibilities. You got that? Let's say you have been reading others' articles and you start writing your own articles. That's it. So therefore, one step, one movement, that is the power of intention. Sukshma deha, stula deha, karana deha. Sukshma means basically your mind, emotions, thoughts. Sukshma, yari gudavudilla. Stula means your body. Your body, physical structure, classroom, notes, PPT, and more important than these two are the karana there. That means power of intention. Let's say you don't have the core point, but the point is still in you. That's your power. Can I have a question if there is no electricity here? Therefore, power point okay. Not having core point is still okay. How do you like it, sir? And this okay does not come out of helplessness. And this okay statement comes out of power. Out of power. See, Socrates always liked to visit the marketplaces and he would never used to purchase. Someone asked him, Socrates, I have not seen you buying any merchandise. He said, I like to go to market to find out which are those things I can still live without. He would see a product, bargain, then said no. And his greatest pleasure is not, I'm not telling you should not go to the shop and buy it. No, it's a great consumer, latest. But here, Socrates said that there are so many things, can you still live without it? Yes. And in that process here, you are actually forcing yourself, your muscles to a stage, I can buy, but I'm not buying. I can disturb, but I'm not disturbing. I can question, but I'm not questioning. I can argue, but I'm not. I can speak, but I like. Therefore, choosing the alternative. You got that? Choosing the alternative. For example, I'm feeling sleepy, but next 1 hour I'm going to remain awake. You got that? Early in the morning, you try this new technique. For example, you are afraid of doing one particular work. Let's say you want to write an article, but you are not completed. So therefore, one day, for no reason, the moment you get up, just open the laptop, start typing some sentences. Make just one line, and suddenly you'll find that the neurology, because your intention, your hands, that connects you, and next day you are rushing there. Got that? That's why even for breathing exercise also, if you do that kind of breathing in one place, let's say you are doing a pranayama, for example, that place calls you. The place beckons you. Therefore, without you are going there, and once you have gone there, you are not the same person. And therefore, for a teaching classroom, of course, there are issues where technology and all those, okay, friends, it's all right, but human interaction is always there. For example, I was working for a bank. In the last 30 years, the whole system has gone to system. But can I forget double entry bookkeeping? But I can't do that. Therefore, the whole accounting process is still there. Someone has studied for 6 months, software engineer, he has prepared a software. Therefore, today the CBS, the core banking solutions, they are not without fundamentals of accounting. But these things are not seen. Similarly, they will come here. Teacher is still important because vibes are there, vibrations are there, and therefore we can always make the presence felt so powerfully. Yes, sir. Next, please. Go back. Yes. Yes. There are 12 such these are NLP called presuppositions. It's a very powerful things. I don't have time to tell all those things, but I'll show you here. Just look at here. These statements are very, very powerful. For instance, see that each person is unique. Yes, including you and I. Look at anything. There is no failure. There is no failure. It is just an event. It's an event. Thomas Alva Edison said, I have not failed. I have come to know how I will not get this candescent plant. He said 9,996 times. So therefore, experience or interpreting so-called failure as an experience is very, very powerful. You can always say that I tried, I didn't get it. And you are making us with a smile. I went and talked to a stranger, but there was no response. It is okay. Got that? So therefore, that allows you, is that? So that kind of things, where look at the last. If someone can do it, why not I? They're all the important NLP prepositions. All these 13 prepositions are directly linked to teaching actually. Next slide, please. Yes. Only 5. So, look at the fourth one, sir. NLP provides a frame. Actually, we are supposed to do half-a-day workshop, half-a-day workshop is a must, where we play the game, and all that. But actually, sometime later, definitely, professor will be allowing me that. So, NLP provides a framework to direct our brain. Very important. See, look at here. Brain by itself does not do anything. You got that? You have to direct. So, and it works the way you direct it. For example, in the night, let's say, before you have kept the book open, pen is ready, things are ready, you got that paper, that table is neat, And early in the morning, when you saw the book open, you go there and you just complete that. System is ready. Therefore, brain likes a system where it kept it ready. Kept it ready. You got it. For example, you are expecting guests at home, but here the guest likes to see you in a state of readiness. You got that? And that he doesn't have to tell you, press the bell or wake you up, you're already ready. And the greatest thing for them is seeing you in a state of readiness. Similarly, brain also sees you in a state of readiness. For example, you want to just make a talk, you carry a small note here. Important things here, small note here. And as teachers, write as many notes as possible. For every subject, you can write important things here. So you can go to a shop and buy about, let's say, 20 small books. When Einstein used to do this technique, it's simple. Unfortunately, when he died in 1955, he had left behind 3,000 small notes. It's a very power. For example, you want to just see what is what, you can't go to a voluminous book. I just wrote a story about Henry Ford. I wrote in 63. Henry Ford wanted V8 engine. He got it at any cost. He demanded, he got it. For example, I know this story, but the line is missing, and keep it ready there. And for teachers, telling stories is very powerful things. I told the story of C.S. Lewis. You got that, friends? That story, I told the stories of Aristotle. So therefore, make it a point, not that you should tell the stories, don't be afraid of the feedback, but at times conveying a message, and it is proud that telling an appropriate anecdote. Look at, of course, in an accounting subject, even in accounting also you can do a small joke. I still have an accountant basically. It seems in the balance sheet, there's one item P&L account, breads thrown to dogs. So someone asked him, what is this? He said, bread thrown to dogs means sometimes I have to pay this thing, so I don't know which account to take it to. So it's a small joke, actual fact. So bread crumbs thrown to dogs means I have given some small money for others. Okay, speed money, whatever it is. But he has found in head of account, right? So therefore, that kind of process here. And yes, we can always, 1 minute, sir. We can always 3R keep with your friends. NLP talks about resources. Sir, time of the helping. Anyway, 5 minutes. So one is basically resources. Nothing is found wanting, friends. Someone said, I will fix you. Why? I am not broken. Someone said, I will fix the problem. Why? It's not broken. It's not a good usage actually. I will fix you. Wrong. How can you fix me? I am already whole and complete. Therefore, I have the resource. The only thing is, I have not known how to connect these resources. Sometimes I am not even aware. See, there was a beggar who was sitting in one place for the last 40 years, it seems. He would always go to one corner, sit on a particular one, there's one desk was there, and one day, and he used to beg points and all that. One day, when this beggar, unfortunately that day, the people found that that bag, that box contained hundreds and thousands of 1,000 rupees notes. So this beggar was sitting on this box and he had not even opened it. And many times, friends, we just open. If you look at today the resources, how many management videos you can look at. Sometimes I wonder, life is just not enough. At the age of 68, rest of my life I can go on seeing management videos, make some notes, talks. How many hundreds and thousands of 5 minutes, 10 minutes talks here, and there are so many masters there, Jaggi Vasudev, Sukhabodhananda, and hundreds and hundreds. Why don't, as teachers, look at some video talks, at some points, make notes, very important, friends. See, always write notes, because don't trust your memory. You may suddenly forget that. Make it a point to write notes. And one advantage, if you write a note, you don't have to look, because the brain says, Jairam Shetty, why do you worry? Note is already there, no? So there is no embarrassment. Therefore, in case I will see, but I couldn't see because that the brain says you are already ready and you are available. And last one, last was that sometime we'll continue with bigger workshop.
We'll have one workshop.
Yeah, surely. So next slide, everybody. Yes. Only one point here, and this kind of atosage is very, very powerful. Next slide, okay. Last one, yes, here. So this kind of, unconscious incompetence. For example, I don't know what I don't know. You got that? Level 1, most of students are there. Then you make them know, I know what I don't know. Level 2. Then he says, I know what I know. Of course, that's a stage of learning. And thereafter, from there, it should go to that my learning becomes automatic. There is no pressure. Learning becomes automatic. For example, if you have to read a book after all exams are over, how do you like it, sir? Sir, happy. Oh, great. Why? There is no pressure, there is no expectation, there is no. Therefore, in that state, you keep reading the books, friends. Go back to the childhood. Read the atlas once again, or go through the dictionary once. Of course, every time you have to go back. So therefore, write the poems once again. Sing a songs once again. I'll just close with a song actually. See, if you look at the Mangu, Timana, Gagga, there are more than 842 verses, and most of these are dedicated to philosophy and teachers. In one such songs, Puja Divijarattarige, Bilisadiru Ninna Neranu Idara. As teachers, we always try to influence. He said, don't cast your shadow on the students. Everyone has his own light and space. Let them. ಬಾಳಿಕೊಡುಗವರು ತಮ್ಮ ಬೆಳಕಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಮೇಲು ಬೀಳುಗಳು ಹಾಗೆ ಅದೆಂದು ನೀನೇನರಿವೆ ತಾಳದಿರು ಗುರುತನವ ಮಂಕುತಿ. That means you be a guru, but don't think I am your guru. ತಾಳದಿರು ಗುರುತನವ. I was not aware till 15 years ago that I could sing like this. I am not a singer, but many people said, Jairam Shetty, keep singing. And I followed NLP techniques. Then I suddenly found that I can sing. Yeah, you got that, friends. That's it. Thank you very much.
On behalf of Nagarjuna Degree College, it is a great privilege to propose vote of thanks on this memorable occasion. I would like to sincerely thank our management and our beloved principal Dr. Harish Babu sir for his guidance throughout this program. My heartfelt thanks to our honorable chairperson Dr. Jairama Shetty for his extraordinary mediation of this seminar. The great purpose of education is action. Dr. Shetty has highlighted the direction for taking the track to NLP to the greater heights. He shared a lot of information. Really, it is enriching the content of this seminar, no matter what language we speak. A kind and a smiling thank you always speaks to everyone's heart. Sir, please accept our sincere appreciation and thanks. I thank various head of the departments, all the teaching and non-teaching staff of NDC for the support and arrangement. Many faculty members from various colleges have participated in this seminar. NDC thanks all those faculty members for their participation. We hope that their time was well spent in enriching their knowledge. Once again, I thank you all.
Dr. Jairam Shetty. Achita ma'am, please come. Dakshayani ma'am also, please come. Nagi sir, please. Thank you, Jairam Shetty sir. Your insights and NLP techniques for breakthrough outcome and teaching were excellent. We have learned. We start with track 3, Innovative Teaching Tools, Focus on How to Think by Dr. Suma Singh. Professor Manjula will take over.
Education is not the learning of facts, but training of the mind to think. These are the words given by Oliver Tapestry. Good afternoon, everyone. We are now starting track number 3, Innovative Teaching Tools, focus on how to think. The topic which will help the teaching fraternity to tap the available opportunities to exploit the potential education. I feel privileged to extend my warm welcome to our eminent speaker, Dr. Suma M. Singh, Dean of Humanities, Mount Carmel College, Bengaluru. I now would like to request our principal, Dr. Harish Babu sir, to offer a bouquet to Dr. Suma Madam. Welcome, ma'am. Thank you, sir. It's a great pleasure for me to introduce our speaker, Dr. Suma M. Singh, Dean of Humanities and Associate Professor, Department of Economics, Mount Carmel College, Bengaluru, and recognized guide from Bangalore University and Bangalore Central University. To her credit, MA in Economics with first rank gold medal from Bangalore University, PG Diploma in Marketing Management from IGNO, and PhD in the field of economics from Mysore University. With over 2 decades of work experience, Madam has rich experience as an academician and administrator. And she has completed many UGC minor research projects and management funded projects. And Madam presented many research papers on national and international level seminars and conferences, and she has published research papers in many international journals and wrote various articles in newspapers like Deccan Herald, and currently Madam is guiding 5 research students for their PhD. It's a great and it's such a privilege to have her on the stage as a speaker. I now invite Dr. Suma M. Singh Madam to enlighten the delegates with illuminating ideas with a knowledge and vast experience. Over to you, ma'am. Thank you.
Good afternoon, and I know you must be exhausted because it must have been a long morning session. So I will not hold you back for long. Anyway, when Dr. Jerome told me, can you talk something about innovative tools? I just told him yes, and after that I really had to think a lot because I realized I'm talking to teachers who probably know what to do best, right? So who am I to come and tell you anything? So I'm not really here in a lecture mode, definitely not. I'm here actually to share some experience of mine, and somewhere in the back of the mind you will also realize I knew this, and I might also be using this in my classroom. So please bear with me if you feel there is a lot of replication of your teaching lives which I'll be drawing parallel today from. So I would like to start off with something which most of us realize over a period might have gone out of my colleges and my classrooms around 3 decades ago. For some of you, it might just have been a few years ago that you were in the classroom. But just give it a thought. What did you actually learn? Did you really learn? That's a question that you really need to ask yourself as a teacher first. Because our entire system, whether it's at the school level or whether it's at the higher education level, is primarily focusing on teaching. The teacher seems to be the pivotal person, the fulcrum of your entire educational system. And I like that. And I'm sure you also like it because you're a teacher now. But just pause and think. Is that what an education system is meant for? It is not meant for that. Okay, who among you is the youngest here as a teacher? Who's just come in probably a few years ago or just this year?
Mr. Sridhar.
Mr. Sridhar, are you around?
No, he's there now, Mr. Sridhar.
Hi, Mr. Sridhar. Actually, Mr. Sridhar, when you started teaching, did you actually start learning then? Yeah. See, he's very young, right? I have somebody sitting there who must be a real veteran, and sir would be probably better to answer this question also. But sir, you would agree with Sridhar that it's only when we started teaching that we actually got down to the nitty-gritty of our subjects. We actually understood what the meaning of it was. When I sat in my economics class and my teacher taught me law of demand, it just didn't make sense to me. She was rattling off assumptions and assumptions, which I knew was not true in the real world. So I kept thinking, why is she teaching this? But I knew there was a connect between demand and price. But it's only when I went into the classroom as a teacher, I put in that effort to understand why is it that my demand curve is downward sloping? Why is it that this particular law may not be a universal truth? That is when the learning process starts off. So I think we are all in a profession which is blessed because we are all eternal learners. And that is the first thing you have to remember as a teacher. A teacher is a learner for life. Don't put a full stop to the learning process. Don't presume, thanks to the pressure that we work under, that I just need to finish my PhD and I'm going to sit back. It never happens. I always feel a PhD is not a qualification for being a good teacher. A good teacher is someone who is an eternal learner, who brings in something new to the classroom on a daily basis. And that means you need to be on guard. You can't just sit back and say, it doesn't matter, I have my own notes. I have my notes which has been passed on to me by my teacher. I can just Xerox it. In today's world, we can just scan it on our mobile, send it on a WhatsApp to my class, and I'm done. No, it doesn't work like that. Because unless you don't go through the learning process, which is what teaching is all about, you are not going to be an effective teacher. Next slide, please. Okay, this one's really okay. So, if you look at our system of education that we all have grown up with, including Mr. Sridhar, the focus has been on what to think, right? My teacher knows exactly what I should learn. How to think is not important. You don't need to bother about that, right? If a student in your class of marketing says, why should I just study only the 5 P's? Why can't I look at something else which is not a P? Probably you don't have an answer for that, right? Because Philip Kotler tells us this is the marketing mix, this is what has to be followed. So we are not allowing our students to question us. And we're just giving them information. So I also made a mention of it that most of the time we're just information providers. And we're just convincing them that this is what you have to think. This is what you have to write. Don't go beyond this. Because your university doesn't give you marks because your language teacher actually gave you a different perspective on what was probably a simple poem of 15 lines. Now, I have to be able to translate that into a accounting class, or a marketing class, or an economics class. That's because our entire structure is very theoretical in nature. We know this. For us, rote learning is so inherent in our education system. We all emphasize a lot on memorization. You and I are not at fault at that. It's the system which is at fault, right? I want to evaluate, I want to check my students in a different way, but my system doesn't allow me to do. What does the system tell? I have 1 mark 10 questions, 5 mark whatever number of questions, 10 marks so many questions. You and I know we can even tell the students these are the questions that are going to come, right? Because we over a period of time we have realized this is what is important. The entire focus is on just memorization. When you are evaluating a paper, how many of you really give a thought to the fact that this Chinese thinking is different? We don't. Because I have a scheme of valuation which I have to follow, whether I like it or not. I'm going to follow that word to word. And even if the Chinese try to be different in the way they approach this particular question, I will not mark them fairly. Because for me, it's the rote learning, it's the memorization, which is what matters. Are students really interacting with you in your classes? How many of you have a very interactive classroom session? May not be regularly, may not be daily, but at least once in a while. Do you have it? You do? And do you feel the difference? Right? It's only when they are involved, when they start talking to you, talking to their friends with, how that's it, that the real learning happens. I might feel unhappy that I didn't complete the topic that I'm supposed to complete in that 1 hour, right? We all are so time bound. But just look at the kind of joy and the learning that the student is bound to if you're able to come, break that monotony and allow them to discuss. That is something which most students don't do. I'm not blaming ourselves for this because we all are running against the semester. We know we have to finish the 60 hours of portions out there within this 12 weeks, 13 weeks. So one class which I have lost like this is going to be something which will stay on me. I'll keep thinking about it. But don't worry, because that is where the learning actually is happening. When you're allowing your students to talk, allowing them to initiate a discussion, that is what true learning is all about. I'm not able to say. Okay, I told this in the beginning itself. We are at the heart of the classroom. We are the fulcrum of the classroom. Our entire teaching, learning, I'm not going to say learning, teaching process is teacher-centric. So the learning doesn't happen because everything is focused on us. We are just walking into the classroom, we use a PPT, don't want to use a PPT, use your blackboard, you finish with whatever topic we thought we should complete. We do not try to understand from the student's perspective whether what we are talking makes sense to them or not, and at the end of the 15 minutes or 1 hour, we walk out of the class. The traditional, conventional education system in classrooms that we all are today enslaved to definitely do not make us prepare our students to the real world, and it also does not make our children prepare themselves on how to think. Most of you must have had discussions on NEP or at least talks on NEP received out of the world and you're wondering why you're even listening to them. But the whole emphasis on NEP is we are making a transition from what to think to how to think. A lot of us are very critical also of the NEP because the teacher seems to have been forgotten in the NEP because the focus is so much on students. But this complete U-turn which the NEP is proposing is from student-centric to teacher-centric to a student-centric system or a classroom, from a system which is focusing on what to think to how to think. So what I will do is I will take you through some techniques which probably a lot of you have used, some things which I have seen have been used in my college and which I think you will probably look at emulating sometime or another. Okay, why is this important that you have to focus on how to think? This is something which a lot of teachers, irrespective of the grade that you are teaching, have to always focus on. When we are talking about teaching learning, we are basically talking about how do you prepare our younger generation for a better life? How do you contribute to their overall development of personality? So what does it involve? It involves development of their cognitive abilities. It involves development of reasoning, which is so important, which most of our children do not have. They don't even have a sense of reasoning about any issue. You know, it could be personal issues, it could be a marketing problem, it could be an accounting problem. They can't connect the dots. Develop critical thinking. That's very, very important. Extremely important in today's world where children are getting carried away with the one-liners that you see on social media platforms, and they build opinion based on that. We don't want our future citizens to be like that, right? They need to develop critical thinking. And of course, we're living in times where technology is a key factor, so we also need to look at innovative abilities of our children being developed. Now, if your focus is going to be on how to think, somewhere you'll be able to achieve all these over a period of time. And definitely, completely, the onus is not on us. The onus starts at school level. It's at the school the change has to come about. Once the schooling system goes through the journey, we can also be a part of that, and we can achieve all these, which hopefully lead the focus to be on how to think. So, the first thing is, I want to slip back to the lecture method, because I like the lecture method, right? We all like our lecture methods. It's a monologue, and I like listening to my own voice. Good news to us, right? So, don't give up. The lecture method is still probably the best method to connect with your student. As Professor Shetty was talking about, he said, how is it that you can make it interesting is what you need to focus on. Could you become a great storyteller? Could you actually bring in a sense of humor to your classrooms? Can you actually help them to connect to the real world? Can you explain to them why petrol prices are rising? It's so easy for you to say government is at fault. Can you get into economics behind that? Can you actually tell them in a form of a very simple way? Because economic jargon may not be understandable by all. But can I actually make my students relate this in a very day-to-day language, why the prices are rising, and how, what could be the reasons behind that? What could be the alternatives or options behind the government? How do I do all this is what would make your lecture classes much more interesting. And more important, be empathetic towards a student. A student is really tortured for 6 hours in a classroom, right? Empathize with them. Can you imagine your life today? You're sitting there from 9:30. Just think of a child, he's sitting there day in and day out. How much can they observe? So a lot depends on how you can bring about a change in your classroom atmosphere, how you can make it much more interesting for them. Be empathetic, be sympathetic, show presence of mind. If there's a time when you know my numbers on the board, don't bother with your accounting problems. Probably switch it. Do something else with that hour. Because the children may not even be listening to you. Forget about understanding, processing, and learning anything. So your lecture method is still good. All that you need to do is tweak it and bring about a difference in the classroom. I think one of the things which children of 18 years in the classroom like in their classrooms is it possible for you to create real-life examples to facilitate learning? How many of you manage to read the newspaper regularly? Do you read? I've seen very few hands assert promptly. I trust you because your generation was the only one which loved newspapers. This is a sad story, right? I think with this group of you, probably 7 or 8 of you raised your hand. Most of you would be just looking at an app which shows you that you are very happy. I know what's happening in the world around you. No, you can't. So, I'm not telling you to do all the things that you see. It's boring. write this paper. What I'm trying to tell you is you don't need to read everything. You need to read what is relevant to you. For example, if I'm talking about marketing mix in my class, I would love to read Byju's. What a dramatic, what a business ad, do whatever you want. But why don't you relate it to a brand like Byju's? Children know about it, right? It's responsibility to your team. Everybody knows it. Can you actually integrate your Flipbookers 5Ps, 7Ps with Byju's and try explaining marketing mix to them? You don't need to explain. They only tell you everything in the class on their own. The ability to connect with the student depends upon how you put things across to them. And that's where real life experiences and examples will actually help in your teaching learning process. When you talk of portfolio management, I'm not a commerce person, I'm sure you all are veterans in that. You're talking about how banks manage their balance sheets, how does the bankruptcy code, we know, you all know you have a new bankruptcy code. Take a live example, take the PMC bank case, what went wrong? Because children know about it, hopefully they know about PMC bank, right? So don't go back to your textbooks and talk about portfolio management, how do I balance all these objectives of portfolio management. They will not get it. Take a live example and show them how important is portfolio management in banks. What happens if a bank like PMC collapsed? What does it mean to the entire banking system? So it's these live examples which will make a big difference for your students, and that's what enriches for them the learning process. This is something which I'm sure most of you have heard of, but I will still go through it. The traditional classroom was where the focus on the process of teaching learning went from class to home, right? I taught in class, I gave some assignment, children went back, hopefully they do that work and come back to me or submit the assignment. We all are good learners, and that's what 2020 proved, because we were pushed and we embraced online teaching, right? Most of us were so skeptical. I still remember when we had to answer the question on ICT in our MAM, we didn't know what to write. Apart from writing, we had projectors, we had fun with it. We didn't know. I mean, we never thought that we would, in circumstances, would force us to go online into online mode. Most of us went through various courses or FDPs where we got acquainted with what tools we can use, and we actually sailed through it, right? I'm sure all of you sailed through the online teaching pretty well. That also introduced us to the concept of flipped classrooms. Flipped classroom is something which everybody has been talking for a long time. But it was more of a textbookish thing. It was very good to read about it in a vacancy or a BNY report, flipped classrooms in the future, but none of us really thought I should bring it into my classroom. So how does a flipped classroom work? Before you teach, particularly for papers like marketing, service management, or service marketing, tourism, you can actually use the flipped classroom in a very effective manner. Give some content to your students. This could be in the form of a video. It could be in the form of, as I said, a boring article. It could be in the form of a case study. It could be just, if you're a language teacher, it could even be a movie. Share regular textbooks, so having two sets of textbooks. Anyway, the college level, I don't need it, right? I mean, get out of the textbook mode in your college level. Children are not free with you. Here, the idea is share some content with the child. Challenge the child. After all, they're adults, right? They're 18-year-old plus. So they can actually do some kind of homework back home and then enter my class, and that will make my classroom more interesting. Of course, today a lot of us feel, why am I teaching a lot of things which can go on a self-study mode? Because a lot of content in our syllabus actually could be self-study, and could just evaluate my student on that. If you feel there is some part of your portions where you don't need to really go through, tell the child, go back, read up, come back, and we will have a 1-hour discussion on this module, and we're going to run through maybe a quiz or something at the end of it. Look at ways and means by which your pressure comes down, but also brings greater involvement of the student. Next one. 1:30 is your lunch break, bringing the children into more group activities, because that's the most effective way of teaching and learning. Anybody here from Kannada department? My college doesn't have a large number of Kannada speaking students. Hindi is the most important language department in our college. But so it was a real challenge for the Kannada department to actually ensure that students who are there take a pride in the language and learn something beyond the textbooks. So what the department did was they started something called Kannadotsav, which they organize on a regular annual basis around Rajyotsava time. And they always go back and try to look into some traditional form of art. So it could be a Dalunda or any other form of art, Yakshagana, students actually learn and perform it. So what happened was some aspect of your culture was something that the students actually learned. The students actually went on to stage plays, Kannada plays, which were popular plays, but imagine the kind of learning experience that the student had at the end of it. Because this is what this child will cherish in the long run. I could take them to a classroom, tell them, talk to them about the traditional art form in Karnataka, but it's not going to make an impact. But you're taking them on the field, making them learn it, making them feel a sense of pride, because they want to put up a show for the entire college at the end of it. I know it's one of the most popular events on campus today, and I think that really helps in the revival of the language and pride in the language. So these are things that you can actually experiment, particularly in languages. You could also look at field trips, because you all come from commerce background. Is there any learning that happens in a field trip? I think it's a mixed thing. First of all, it's all about bonding, right? You are breaking the wall between the teacher and the students when you go out on a field trip. There is also the whole thing about students getting into a factory problem, or getting into any place where you're taking, where they actually are able to relate, observe and relate a lot of things that you have taught in the class. You know, you can talk about functional specialization, functional activities in an office space, which will not register. But the minute you take it to a factory or an office,